Hey there, this is Keith the IT teaching guy. Today I'll be going over RAM, random access memory, and sockets on motherboards. And RAM stores application and system data, so it can the CPU can read it. Goes a lot faster than taking it off the hard drive. So they go over different RAM types, such as SIM, single inline memory module, which is a legacy device. You'd have to fill all of the slots for the computer to be able to read that type of memory. And SIM comes in 30 or 72 pins. So we go on to the next that is more common and used in today is DIMM. This is a dual inline memory module, and that's at 168, 184, and 240 pins. And the 184 and 240 pins, that is for the DDR RAM, which we use today. They had DDR2, DDR3, and so on. Then there's also the RAM bus, RIM memory, and you have to also fill those slots up if you want the memory to be read as well. Not necessarily with RAM, but it has to be with what's called a continuity RAM. But RAM bus was trying to replace the DIMM memory, but it's more of a licensed issue there, and it's not very common. It gets a lot hotter than DIMMs do, but they do provide just a little bit more speed. And they come in 168, 184, and 242 pins. Then we have the SODIMMs, which are for laptops, small outline dual inline memory module, and those come in 72, 100, and 144, 200, and 204 pins, and used for laptops or laser printers. But you can use them in desktops. So we take a look at different types of memory here, the RAM bus and the micro DIMM and SODIMM, and they might have some memory that's not even talked about on the A+, and different things like that. So they went through CPU form factors for the CPU socket types or slots, and a slot is really for a legacy device for like Pentium 2. It uses single edge cartridge, SECC. But for the sockets for today, I have like a ZIF socket or a lift socket. And a ZIF socket stands for zero insertion force. You don't have to use any pressure, and I think we went over this in other videos. So to put in that CPU chip into the socket, you just use a little lever. And then there's a lift socket, which is low insertion force, and you just use a little pressure to put that onto the motherboard. And that's kind of a legacy in part because it's most sockets are ZIF sockets now. And then went on to talk about multiprocessors. So if you have a CPU, you might have a few CPUs on your motherboard. That's called a multiprocessor, having more than one actual CPU on the processor. And then today we have what's called multi-core. You can have up to 4, 6 cores, maybe even 8. But I think, or like quad core, you've heard that. So you have, say if you have dual core, right? Would be 2 CPUs on the same chip. So multiprocessor is more than one physical CPU on a motherboard. And multi-core is more than one CPU on a physical chip. So you might have a multi-processor, multi-core system, so that would be kind of interesting too. So just a little terms there. Motherboard chipsets, they talk about the North Bridge and the South Bridge, and now with Intel, they kind of have the North Bridge and South Bridge all built onto now the CPU chip itself. But you kind of want to think a little bit about the North Bridge and South Bridge still, because it's still used. North Bridge is the chipset that deals with the CPU memory, video, and the south bridge. This is north bridge is very fast, and so it can handle fast video and memory and CPU. And the south bridge is a smaller little area there, and it manages all the peripheral devices and manages expansion slots except the video. So you got like sound and wireless cards and things like that. So it can manage those. So you want to talk about how does this information get across to the CPU? Well, you have the front side bus, which connects the CPU and the north bridge. So you have the little lines and tracers on the motherboard that connect the north bridge to the CPU, and so that'll help you get connected there. And then they have what's called the backside bus, which connects the cache memory to the CPU. So cache memory stores a lot of different information for the CPU that can be read very fast, very useful information that's used very quickly. So, but that's all for today on the motherboard side there with the RAM and the sockets. So had a little bit of information, but just keep studying for your A+ tests, and like I always say, go if you really want to study for your A+ and you don't know about it yet, just go to freeaplus.com, and they have like the best videos that I've seen so far online, and check it out. So alright, keep working.